fans, and welcome to another episode of Silver Screams Reacts. Tonight we are taking a look at the official trailer for the television reboot of Heathers. Now, there's a lot of controversy surrounding the casting choices. I say let's hold off on that discussion until after we watch the trailer.
Let's have a discussion for a trailer that we haven't even seen yet.
I mean, that's the internet in a nutshell, isn't it?
Shit.
All right, let's not...
Looks at half the fandoms I'm in.
Little bit. Let's not waste any time, and...
Dear Diary.
Today I saw a boy.
Yesterday's lunchtime poll asked,
Oh.
who are you? When it finally came my turn, Heather C. turned to me and said,
well, suck my third nipple. If it isn't Veronica Sawyer, how Banana Republic?
it's ironic, Heather.
We're not doing irony anymore. Keep up.
Yeah, keep up.
Shut up, Heather.
Yeah, shut up, Heather.
Heather, only I tell Heather shut up.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
In the spot, I came to have fun. Dressed to the nines, so they know I'm number one.
Fat kids can be popular.
The preferred term is body positive.
What about the Asian kids?
And the genderqueer?
Right.
Obviously, the gays and Jews are over.
She looks like if Jim Henson got in one last puppet before he died.
Gosh, Heather. Super mean way to treat the mentally challenged.
Jesus.
Who is this?
I'm JD.
I like your whole rebel thing.
Let's sort out our old make out and kill Heather.
What?
Oh, boy.
Can't go one night without your domestic terrorist boyfriend.
He's a teenage Charles Manson.
What a
Tragedy.
What is that?
Paralyzed from the waist down.
Your boyfriend is a loser.
You're jealous. Fatty.
You're about to get flamed.
So why do you hang out with her?
It's high school. Why do we do anything that we do?
I was hoping all the sex you're having would finally deep dick the quote of the day out of you, but I guess not.
You were nothing before you met me.
I wish Heather Chandler would just die so that I can finally be free. Whatever you do,
I miss Scream Queens.
make sure it matters.
Ooh la la.
Don't think of it like you're hurting, Heather. Think of it like you're helping everyone else.
Oh my clit.
Oh my god. We're gonna be late for school.
Oh, dear.
Heather Chandler killed herself this morning.
She certainly didn't look suicidal.
Her skin was flawless.
It's Keith from Scrubs. Oh, that's fun. Oh, this looks pretty bad. Okay, let's talk about
Hang on. I gotta do this. None of my business.
Oh man, I really just want to watch the musical.
That really looks terrible. Oh my god.
I miss Scream Queens so much. Like, how great was
And
Scream
before-
Queens at like taking the essence of like what Heather was, or what Heather's was, and like doing its own thing with it.
And before anyone's like, oh, you don't like it because X, Y, Z, and theta, social justice, something or other, like, that's not the reason. You could take this exact same cast in these same or similar roles and probably do something else with it. But the way this is written, I'm having a hard time getting past the Jews and gays are over. Just,
Oh my god.
yeah, that was a line that was in this trailer.
I missed
It's
that line.
just talking about like who could be popular and or oppressed. It's like, oh yeah, this is not the other. The Jews and gays are over.
What? I mean, Heather's was always meant to be offensive and over the top. Like, that's
True.
part of what makes the dark comedic elements of it work. But
this is offensive and over the top in a way that to me sounds like it's doing some punching down. And
Yeah.
you don't do that.
the
There's a way to do offensive and over the top that isn't just like, what are people discussing these days? Let's steamroller all of it.
I will say that there's some merit to the idea that people could use positive platforms like diversity and being body positive
And body positivity.
and using those to climb up and using them for selfish and self-serving ends in that same way of like, I don't know, like hashtagging a cause that you don't really care about just to like appear like you care about it.
Being a minority does not prevent you from being an asshole.
Yes, absolutely.
Every single human being has the capacity to be an asshole regardless of their status in any capacity.
There's some merit to that idea.
The way execution.
Yeah. The problem is that for sure this feels like it's punching down. I also give a lot of credit to the people who've been saying that the point of the original Heathers was that they were all entitled rich white people who were in power at the time, and sure, anybody can be a bully. That's something true, and that seems to be the defense behind this casting and these choices, is that anybody can be a bully. That is true, and I certainly don't want to say that you can't have a character who's gay that can't be a villain,
but then you have the straight white people kill them.
Yeah,
which is like, guys.
Or that you can't have a woman of color be a villain, or you know, a woman of a different body type be a villain. These are all people, like characters, who also happen to be members of minorities or marginalized groups, can be anywhere on that spectrum of good or evil, and depending on the execution, can be still interesting and compelling.
Being a minority does not prevent you from being an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, we go back to that. But
and I say this as somebody whose ethnicity often gets depicted as nothing more than gang members, or, you know, the religious shamans or whatever. Like, I get it.
So this, it feels like you could do well with this cast, but it also feels like we're gonna have a person who's this, and this defines their character. Like, oh my god, no.
I'm also wondering how...
It's just that. It's like, we're gonna have a person who is of this minority. And that's going to be their entire character, is that they're of this minority. You don't have to worry about the rest of them being a person. They're minority, and that's it.
Well, I'm also wondering if Heathers is the right choice for an adaptation to be a television series, period. Because there's a clear, definitive character arc for Veronica, and, you know, I don't know if the characters of Veronica and JD in their Bonnie and Clyde murder antics are enough to carry a season, let alone a series. Because I really like the 3-act structure of the movie, and I like the arcs as done in the musical adaptation of Heather. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against adaptations of Heathers. I adore the musical more than I actually like the movie, to be honest.
And I'm just ambivalent. Like, it wasn't my favorite thing ever to watch, but it was still a pretty solid movie. And hey, no, that's not for you. The cat is interested in things that she should not be interested in.
Dinner. Yeah.
Dinner. Like, no kidding. But yeah, I think you're right that this may not be the correct way to adapt it, or that this may not be a good structure.
Modernizing it, and I'm not saying that putting it in the context of the 80s would be a good choice either, because everything is so obsessed with the 80s right now, and I'm not against that. I love the 80s.
The 80s are the modern nostalgic decade.
Yeah, absolutely. And I share in a lot of that nostalgia too. But I also think that one of the reasons why Heathers is what it is because it is a product of the 80s. So I'm not sure if modernizing it, and call me a snowflake or whatever, but yeah, I'm not sure if the offensive nature of the way that they're modernizing it, I'm not sure if that's gonna land comedically speaking.
Again, it feels like it's punching down, whereas Heathers, the original, it's like, oh, they're a bunch of spoiled white kids. I was like, all right, well, they're a bunch of spoiled rich white kids. You can absolutely kind of...
You know what it kind of feels like? It kind of feels like the people who wrote the dialogue that was featured in this trailer are the types of people that view everybody, like, for lack of a better term, are the people that view social justice warriors as bad guys.
I think you're right.
And granted, I certainly know that there are a lot of SWJs who use bullying tactics. You don't have to look far for evidence of that.
There are huge, huge problems within the social justice movement. Like, there are.
But at the same time, for somebody of a different generation looking at millennials, it really seems like anytime anybody seems to be an advocate for diversity, feminism, LGBTQ rights, that, oh, you're a social justice warrior. Or like, hey, that joke you said was offensive. Oh, you're a social justice warrior. That immediately makes you a monster in my eyes.
You're so politically correct. Why can't you just loosen up?
Yeah, this kind of seems like it's written by people who are like, ugh, PC culture's the worst. Let's make a bunch of PC culture advocates the most offensive bad guys we can possibly make them. And like I said, there's certainly nothing wrong with people of different ethnicities and body types and sexual orientations being villains.
As long as it's not, they're a villain and they're this, and that's the whole character. Or better yet, they're evil because they're this, which is like, why? What? Why?
And again,
I feel like that's part of where we're going here.
Yeah.
It's like, my identity is that I am this, and also I am a jerk, and I should be murdered because I'm in this and also evil. Like,
well,
stop.
To the show's credit, JD was never justified in his murders. And that's something that the movie and the musical do very well to point out, is that he's never justified in any of the killings that he does, and Veronica is never on board with it. That's one of the few saving graces of her character. And they humanize both of them a lot more in the musical. That being said, like I just don't think Heathers is the right franchise, I suppose you could say. I don't think it's the right label for taking on that issue of people using positive movements and calls for social justice as the villains. I feel like you could tell a really interesting story about the layers and the intricacies. Like one really great example, the 99% movement. Like when that originally started, 99% little camps that were protesting Wall Street ended up being divided by class. That's an interesting layer to the discussion. I don't think Heathers is the right format for the layered discussion about the problems with social advocacy.
And the thing is, it needs to be a layered discussion, and I don't think Heathers is even going to try. I don't think it has the tools, and I still think it's going to go at it with a rock and a nail and think that that'll solve it.
Yeah, I feel like Heathers is... I love it, but I feel like this version of Heathers is a little too tone deaf for that.
I feel like it was not written, produced, etc. by the right people to be able to talk about. It's like if I tried to talk about the problems that people of color face. I might know a little bit about it, but I should not be the one speaking about it.
The original was a movie that used "I love my dead gay son" as a big punchline.
Yeah.
It's funny, but times have changed.
Like, it's funny, but it's also like, that was the 80s.
Oh.
This is...
And part of the joke is that character wasn't gay.
Yeah.
So it's like...
We say to people who have probably seen Heathers.
Yeah.
Probably. If you haven't, it's worth a watch. Just be prepared for some crazy shit.
I'm also wondering, just like, again, how do you put that hour-and-a-half long movie, 2-hour movie, I forget how long it is, into a season-long story? How long do you keep Heather alive?
That's
like
really
1 episode, 2 episode, 5 episodes? How long does Heather need to live?
Like, admittedly, we didn't think they could do Scream either, but
that's
Scream,
very true.
Scream took a concept and then went, all right, let's do a different backstory, let's do different characters, let's do this, let's do that.
Let's take elements from the movies and do our own thing. And
was actually able to pull it off.
Succeeded.
Oh yeah, a lot of success. It was a very fun
Succeeded.
show. No guarantees for season 3, but what they did was good.
To Scream Queen's credit as well, like they took a lot of Heather's like humor and just injected it into, and you're not supposed to think any of the people in Scream Queens, with the exception of maybe like
world.
2 people. Yeah, it works because of the voices behind it. But sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's all right. Yeah. Just from what we've seen from this trailer, and it's possible that this trailer is not
It could just be a bad trailer.
trailer.
Oh my god, I hated the first Scream trailer. I ripped into it. I'm like, this isn't Scream. Maybe this is the same.
I would hope so, but like I said, I'm still having a lot of trouble getting past the gays and Jews.
A lot of the bad things, and again, this is to the original film's credit as well. A lot of the bad things that people say are supposed to be indicative of like how terrible everybody in that world is. But also, somebody pointed this out about the musical. One of the characters in the original film is a counselor who's big on sensitivity training and things like that, and meeting the emotional needs of the students. And she's surrounded by a super callous administration up until the point where deaths start happening, and then people start listening to her. But she's always painted as this, again, much like everybody else, very self-serving, patting herself on the back, very naive sort of person, when in fact that's something that a lot of schools need. But it's like ridiculing that person for standing for something good, but painting that person as a self-serving, self-righteous jerk. Yeah. And granted, that is what Heather's is, but do we really need that commentary in this day and age? I don't know.
Again,
I don't know how I feel about painting the one person who, in society, we genuinely need more of as this asshole.
Again, just long and short, it might be a bad trailer, that's entirely possible, but this feels like a lot of not understanding nuance and a lot of punching down.
And granted, again, original Heather's not very nuanced. Very, very, very blatant in its commentary and its humor.
But when you're tackling these topics, you can't not have nuance. You need it.
I feel like this is something worth discussing. Maybe people will feel differently once the first season is done, but right now it doesn't really seem like very many people are on board with it at all.
In the discussion I've seen about this trailer, I haven't really seen many people say that they like the trailer or that they're looking forward to the series. In fact, I haven't seen very many people be aware that Heather's was going to be a series until this trailer dropped, and then it was like, this is not a good first impression.
There was some grumblings when the casting was announced, and people were basically saying exactly what people were saying after the trailer dropped. Just that, guys, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. What you're doing sounds a little tone deaf.
And needs to be handled with maybe not subtlety, because this is Heather's, but a little nuance, and it does not seem like you're doing that.
And then the defense that we listed off earlier was the defense given, and again, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a fair point. I don't know exactly how the show is going to handle it, though, and I don't get the sense that I will have as much fun watching Heather's as I do watching Scream or Scream Queens.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a fun romp.
No,
it looks like
I have fun watching both of those shows.
I mean, it looked fairly well shot.
Yeah, I mean, it looks well shot and well acted.
Aesthetic, it looks well shot. I liked the costume designs.
And one or two jokes worked. Like we're gonna be late for school. Like, that was a good joke. That was funny.
But like, everything else is like, not sure if leaning towards not want.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be interesting how long the show sticks with JD and how they characterize JD, because in the movie he's a full-on sociopath. He's a sociopathic monster. In the musical, they humanize him a lot and really tone down the creepiness factor. He's still deranged and by the end of things very unstable and very violent. But they humanized him quite a bit, so I'm wondering if the show is going to stick with the full-on cold-blooded sociopath, or if they're going to try to make the audience empathize with him a little bit. And there are pros and cons to both approaches, but I don't know. If you make him super sympathetic, then again, that just adds another layer of being super tone-deaf to the point of Heathers on top.
This guy is super sympathetic. He wants to murder all these minorities.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that like, oh man, not great. You're swing and a miss. Swing and a miss.
I think we're kind of talking it in circles at this point. But yeah, it's just like, no thanks. I think I'll wait. I think I'll wait to see what people who are actually going to watch it have to say. I think I'll wait for the inevitable reviews after the first episode airs, and I can read them online and see what people think and pet the cat. And yeah.
I think that I'm going to re-listen to the musical score as soon as we are done talking and recording this video, because there's a lot of fun stuff in the musical. As with most things, add the musical to the end of something and it makes it infinitely better. So on that note, what did you guys think of the trailer? Are you a big fan of the original Heathers and or the musical, and so you're excited about this? Or maybe you love those things and so you're really not excited about this? We want to know your thoughts in the comments below.
And I would like to know what horror property you would like to see adopted into a musical. Adapted into a musical. Words.
Reanimator, Carrie, and Evil Dead have all already been done. And I haven't seen the Carrie one yet, but the rest of them are great.
Could you imagine a Hellraiser musical?
I would watch the shit out of that. Oh my god.
I would love a Scream the musical.
Of course.
Like
that would be great. Hang up this phone and I'll gut you like a fish. Yeah, Hellraiser would be amazing. Honestly,
I think that's it.
Hellraiser would be amazing. Yeah, fuck it. Hellraiser for sure. I would watch the shit out of Hellraiser the musical.
I'd like a Cabin in the Woods musical, like Cabin in the Woods the movie.
The movie?
The musical.
It's like all of a sudden at the very beginning, Once More with Feeling just takes over the entire thing. I wish Stage Fright had been a better movie. Because that, like,
musical, yeah.
It was horror musical and a bit of Phantom of the Opera thrown in there. So I'm like, oh, why weren't you amazing? And it wasn't.
I would like to see Phantom of the Opera adopted into music.
Wait. I'm gonna go with Hellraiser for sure. And you know what? I don't think it's been done yet. Why not? Friday the 13th and or Halloween. Because
I'm gonna stick with Scream and Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods, ooh.
Anyway.
Cabin in the Woods, yeah. We're 5 college students on our way to an old abandoned cabin in the woods. Oh yeah! Alright. Well, Katie, where can people go if they want to find you?
You can follow me all over the social medias as well as on YouTube and Twitch at Kiaxet. That is Kiaxet. If you would like to see our non-horror reactions, they live on that YouTube channel.
And I'm going to ask, honey, what you waiting for? Welcome to my candy store. That's where I'll be. Never mind.
Bye!
I'm Megan. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. Be sure to follow Silver Screams at Silver_Screams. Like us on Facebook. All that
Hit the
jazz.
subscribe button. Hit the bell.
Both of those things, I guess.
I have no idea if I'm pointing in the right area.
Who
Probably
even knows?
not.
Who even knows? But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you all next time.